Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to cover my physical Fischl builds, and I think she gets overlooked a lot actually, just because people see her as a support and not for her true potential, which is super cracked, right? And I want to cover that build today. There's a couple notes that I want you guys to take away when you build her. So let's go ahead and get right into her build, and then I'll go into animation canceling, playstyles, party members, all that good stuff. Alright guys, so starting off, as you can see, she has 2451 attack. Do keep in mind that we have 2 pyro party members in our party, so that's going to go up by 25%. So originally it's about 2200. We're working with a 73.3% crit rate and 203.7% crit damage. She has 83.3% physical damage bonus for her weapon. Okay, this is where things start getting important because most people build their Fischl as a support, and so I feel like weapon, especially for main DPS, people can get confused because they might build her as a support and not a main DPS. Starting off, Skyward Harp is still the best in-slot weapon for a physical damage Fischl. Reason why is because it scales with crit rate, and because when you ascend Fischl, she doesn't ascend with crit rate, she actually ascends with attack. You have to build crit rate and crit damage on her herself. So you have 22% crit rate. At Refinement Rank 1, you get crit damage increased by 20%. And then this one is where the physical damage really hits high, and this is like where Machine Gun Fischl comes from. So hits have a 60% chance to inflict a small AoE attack, dealing 125% physical attack damage. Can occur every 4 seconds. So I might throw some gameplay up on the screen, but basically once you hit an enemy, it has a 60% chance of doing physical damage, boosted physical damage bonus. So the Skyward Harp is actually really nice, and it's definitely her best in-slot weapon, especially since it comes with crit rate, crit damage, and that other passive gives you extra physical damage. Other good 4-star weapons are things like Rust, because you're going to be normal attacking, you're not going to be charge attacking. But do keep in mind, if you go with a weapon like this that has attack as a substat, you're going to have to build even more crit rate and more crit damage. And I understand that a lot of people don't have Skyward Harp, but there's other 4-star weapons that are available that might be more accessible, such as the Viridescent Hunt. This is a very good weapon. It comes with crit rate, and you get that extra cyclone damage. Another good weapon on her is the Mitternacht's Waltz, which I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I don't have that weapon, but it does scale with physical damage bonus, and it outperforms the compound bow really slightly. But if you don't have access to that weapon, then I would definitely go with the compound bow. It's the absolute best free-to-play weapon, especially since it's craftable. If you're lucky with the prototype drop on the weekly bosses, it's a really good weapon, and I think compound bow is the best free-to-play. But if you have Rust, you could use that, or if you have Viridescent and you buy Battle Pass, you can use that. But yeah, so there's a lot of good bows. Anything with mostly attack percentage or physical damage bonus, or in this case, crit rate. Those are the main stats that you're looking for on your weapon. For her artifacts, I decided to go with a 2-piece Glad and a 2-piece Bloodstained Chivalry. You can obviously change this out based on what kind of artifacts you actually have. But let's go ahead and look at mine. So right here, we have crit rate, crit damage, crit rate, crit damage. This is our off piece, which usually it's the goblet, but in this case we have a good physical goblet. So we have crit rate, crit damage on the sands. You want to run physical damage bonus on the goblet, 100%. So you're going to be running attack on the sands, physical damage on the goblet, and then crit rate or crit damage depending on what you need on the hat. So physical damage bonus, crit rate, crit damage, and then for this we're running crit damage. It depends. If you have better Pale Flame sets, I would say go with Pale Flame. Always prioritize substats over the 2-piece set bonus. Other sets that you can use a 2-piece Bloodstained and a 2-piece Pale Flame. That's also very good because you get a lot of extra physical damage bonus. You can use 2-piece Glad, 2-piece Pale Flame, or 2-piece Glad and 2-piece Bloodstained like I'm using right now. Also, if you want to, you can use 4-piece Pale Flame. For constellations, the only 2 that I think that really matter is this one, because you can do extra damage even when Oz is off the field, so you can do a little bit extra damage. So if you're using Skyward Harp, you get the passive from the Skyward Harp, or if you're using this, you'll get this passive as well, and then you get this passive if you have her C1. And if you have her C6, this is also very good. I would say these 2 are definitely the most important. C1 and C6 matter the most. If you have her C1, then you're great. Even if you have her C0, she can still hit really high numbers, so don't be worried about the constellation there. For talents, I have her 10, 10, and 10, but do keep in mind these are both actually level 7. I got the +3 from the constellation. For a physical build, you definitely want to level your normal attacks first, as this is where you're going to be getting the majority of your damage from. This is what her normal attack talent looks like at level 10. Her damage, and then Knight Rider, and then Midnight Phantasmagoria. These are both really strong, but overall these are not necessary. This passive doesn't really affect you, as you're not going to be charged shotting because it's not electro. This just gives you a little bit of extra damage, and then of course you're not going to be sending her on expeditions because you need her in your party. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into some animation canceling that I want to go over, and then we will go into party members. So for Fischl, generally there's a couple ways you can animation cancel. One thing you do have to keep in mind is she has pretty low HP, right? So I recommend having somebody like Zhongli for a shield, but we're going to get to party members later. What I wanted to talk about is you have to dash a lot with her. So when you're normal attacking, she has 5 shots, right? And she has a very long delay between her 3rd, 4th, and 5th shots. Her first 2 are definitely the fastest. Generally, you want to get as little shots in as possible. I would say 2 at the minimum, and 4 at the maximum. Don't go all 5 shots because that's going to take too long. It takes a very long time for her to shoot her very last shot. So generally, this is something that you need to practice with Fischl. I've covered this in a previous video, but my Fischl's a lot stronger now, so I want to cover this again. Basically, once you do 4 shots, you want to go into aim shot mode and then cancel right back out of it. So aim shot mode can actually cancel your animations. You can actually double tap R very quick. If you're on mobile, it's going to be a lot difficult. Generally on PC, you want to double tap R and you can actually cancel right out of that. So I would practice doing 4 shots first. I had to practice for about 15 minutes before I started getting the hang of it. But you want to start normal attacking, canceling, and then once you can do 4 shots, I would recommend going to 3. 3 gives you a little bit faster DPS and more DPS because you're shooting faster. And then if you can finally do that, 2 is definitely the fastest you can go. But it is kind of hard to do as you're spamming R, and it's hard to time sometimes, especially when there's a lot of enemies nearby and you're swapping between characters. But generally you shouldn't have to, because the majority of the time when you're playing Fischl, especially since she has low HP, you're going to be dashing. Like right there, instead of animation canceling, I had a dash to make sure that I didn't get hit because you want to keep her high HP. So let's go ahead and fight this chick real quick because she's being super annoying. But generally, you're going to be dashing with her and trying to, dodge the enemy's attacks with her. You want to prioritize that first. And unless the enemies are either stunned or far away from you, don't do the animation canceling with your charge shot. So against bigger bosses that are more slow, you can actually do more DPS, as you can do more normal attacks without dashing. You can just straight up aim shot it. But like right there, instead of doing normal attacks, we actually had to catch that iframe. But as you can see, her damage is actually really nice. I did put in a little showcase at the beginning of the video, but generally she has very high damage output. And let me say this, Fischl is not a one-shot character. You're not going to one-shot the Valen, you're not going to one-shot the Geovaship, you're not going to one-shot the Cryoflower, any boss, you're not going to one-shot them. But she does have very consistent high damage that comes in like waves. So you're going to be chipping down opponents very fast with her. Much like the way kind of Kaching functions with her charge attack. Fischl doesn't get super high numbers, but the numbers that she does get, she gets them very fast. So when she hits 10k and then 7k, that's 17k in 2 shots. And then you also have to factor in the Oz shot that comes with it, and also the Skyward Heart passive in my build. If you're running the Viridescent Hunt, then you're also going to get that passive instead. For some reason that Ruin Guard was just standing there, but overall you get the idea. She can wipe out just about any enemy in the game. She's very strong as a main DPS. But so that's about it for her charged shot canceling. Basically you can just charge shot or dash out of it for the most part. There's no really reason to jump, because if you're going to jump out of it, you can just charge shot cancel it, and it's a lot faster than having to wait the full like half a second that takes you to jump. So last but not least, I want to talk about her party. With Fischl, you're not really going to be doing super conduct too much because it is hard to do with her, especially since she's a range, because she's bow user, right? So I wouldn't really recommend going with a cryo character unless you just have one that's very well built and you want to do superconduct sometimes. Overall, this is my build right now. You can also use somebody like Xingqiu if you don't want to use Xingyan. The only reason why I'm using Xingyan in this build is because I have her C4, so I can reduce their physical resistance without having to do an elemental reaction just by hitting them. So that's very nice. Zhongli, you can decrease their resistances and you can get a very nice shield with him, and just the Geo element in general is a nice touch up with this build. For the last, I would highly recommend going with Bennett, as he's a very good healer, especially for somebody like Fischl who doesn't have a lot of HP. You can keep her heals up most of the time. If you don't have Bennett built, or if you don't want to use Bennett, you can always use somebody like Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi's a very strong healer, or you can use Diona. Just in general, you want to have a healer for 4th, even if you want to use somebody like Jean. As long as you have a healer in this build, because most of the time, at least for me, my Zhongli's not built perfectly and his shield isn't enough, and I know a lot of people don't have Zhongli. So alternatively, her party is very flexible, as it always is with physical damage builds, but even more so as you're not relying on the superconduct to hit high damage with Fischl. But overall, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. If you guys did enjoy, go ahead and like and or comment. And let me know what you guys want to see in the next video. I do take comments very seriously, so if you have a genuine concern or a genuine topic that you want me to cover, go ahead and drop in the comments, and I'll make sure to get around to it, and I'll reply to you as well. So go ahead and do all that. Thank you guys so much for stopping by, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.